Mandan Park District Board meeting to order. Today is December 9th, 2024. We are at City Hall in the Ed Bosch Freilich meeting room. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Just the agenda in front of you is updated. We did remove an item that was sent out to you earlier where we had a request from Park Operations to relocate some dollars for some garbage cans and picnic tables. We talked this morning, and we're just going to table that for now, maybe bring it back in January as a further discussion. But so your agenda is updated.
So that, I guess that was one question. Do we have a budget for those things, and did you just want to, we don't budget those items in, Dustin?
We do typically in our strategic plan.
Okay.
It's just that we had excess funds in a line item that maybe potentially we could utilize those dollars out of this year without having to forecast it in the future. But we want to see where everything kind of comes in at the end of the year. Some unseen for costs came through, so.
Wait a longer? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so go with the one that you gave us here. Okay. Okay, any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, now next portion, public communication from visitors. We do have a few people in the audience tonight. I think they're here for contractual discussions, but if you have anything else you would like to come up and speak about that's on the agenda, you can do so at this time. All right, seeing no takers, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Moving on to minutes, approval of November 11th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. If we could get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve November 11th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Freilich.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right, moving into our agenda. Item number one, we have to consider a few user group agreements. We will start with Dakota Star Gymnastics. And
President Maschke, Commissioners, tonight we have two lease agreements with Dakota Star Gymnastics and Mandan Wrestling Club. Here from Dakota Star is Lori Lochner, and she'll come up and answer any questions you have about the next lease we have for 3 years.
hi, Lori. Did you want to say anything about the contract, or do you just up here to? We all have the
good.
contract in our packet, so.
Yep, no, it looks all good to us.
Just the history, when we opened up Dakota Star Gymnastics, we have had a scale where it started off very small lease, but let everybody get their feet underneath them, and I think it's been a successful program, so hopefully it continues to go that direction.
Yeah, we are definitely way better than we were 3 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Build it and they will come.
Right,
It's
exactly.
kind of what's happened,
Exactly, yeah.
so. Okay, any questions for Lori on that user group agreement? If not, can we entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the user group agreement with Dakota Star Gymnastics.
Second. Okay, motion by Commissioner Melhoff, second by Commissioner Scott. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Lori. All right, moving on to Wrestling Club.
Next, we have a new user group, Mandan Wrestling Club. They are leasing the space above the All Saints Arena. So tonight we have Jesse Hare from Mandan Wrestling Club.
Welcome, Jesse.
Thank you.
So kind of the same thing, I guess. We talked about many uses for that spot above the ASA, and it sounds like this is going to work out well for the wrestling club. And I guess looking through that agreement, are there any questions or comments here for Jesse?
Jesse, can you tell me how many wrestling members you have or kids you're using?
So currently, as of right now, our season for the club itself doesn't start until as of January. So we open up member registration last week, typically somewhere around the first, second weekend of December. I don't know currently what's registered. That's on Jason's. He's the president. I am the current serving treasurer. But on a typical given year, we're anywhere from that 50 to 75 members that we get, signed up in the club itself. As far as kids, that's what you're asking, correct? Okay, yes.
And that is separate from the high school program. You work in conjunction, but still separate somewhat from the.
That is 100% separate from the high school. Basically, the wrestling club is a boosters for the high school. So we will get high school kids once their season goes out. They sign up. I'm including them in those numbers of what would come over from the high school, or same with what would come from like the middle school, and then also like the girls program, which the girls program hasn't been. That's first getting started, so that's gonna obviously be a growth to the program, which also gives a growth to us as trying to support a lot more also.
Jesse, one more question because I was looking at is that lease going to be sufficient for you guys for the start, as far as finances and stuff like that?
I think talking with Cole and Dave, what was first proposed and we looked at and coming up with, also with the agreement that we came up with the high school, with them using the room for their high school part and co-part sharing some of the cost, it's going to be something that we feel is feasible for us to get started and get rolling. That was a big thing that we did talk about. I don't want to go into this endeavor and it not working. I mean, this is a huge volunteer operation to do this and make this work for the kids and stuff like that. So we've checked into the insurance side of things and looked at the cost and what that's going to be and everything else. And with this as a starting basis, it's something that we all, as a board, we've come up with and feel that we can, with the fundraising we do and with the kids and everything else, that we can handle this.
Cool, thank you.
Anything else for Jesse? Okay, if not, can we entertain a motion?
I would move to approve the contract with the wrestling club.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Scott,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jesse.
Commissioners.
Okay, our third user group agreement is Director Higlin will share that with us, Horse and Saddle Club.
So, before you commissioners is the updated 3-year renewal with the Horse and Saddle Club. They've been with us for many years. As you know, we're now in our second year with the arena. The new arena that we volunteered as far as the fundraising with both the 4th of July Rodeo and the Mandan Horse and Saddle Club. So this is really the first agreement that they're on their own when we used to be separate. As you know, the 4th of July Rodeo used to always be inside the racetrack. And now that we've built what we've done today with the partnership that's be able to come to Dale Paulke Arena, we now have one agreement, and that will be with the Mandan Horse and Saddle Club, as I mentioned, who will then sublease it to the 4th of July or the Mandan Rodeo Days Committee. In that agreement, the only real change that we agreed upon or had any discussions on would be increasing the rent from $500 annually to $750. It will still stay the same where all utilities, the 50-cent surcharge on all adult events, and 10% on any alcohol sales at any event at the arena. Pretty straightforward, as you kind of see in the agreement. Ashley Ross will be here in a minute, or step up here in a moment to kind of share some comments about her program, along with any questions you may have of the agreement in front of you. I did want to point out in the past that we've charged a rate for the 4th of July Rodeo Arena. Again, it's about $10,700 that we received from the 50-cent surcharge along with the alcohol sales. So that's why their agreement is set where it is, and we've had a great work relationship with Horse and Saddle. All the funds that they do collect go back, and again, we do not charge for youth events, so that's why there is no ticketed surcharge for any youth event. With that, I'll introduce Ashley.
Cole, we've added something to it. I just wanted to bring up the use of the Mandan Park District logo on the stuff.
We've always had that included in a lot of our agreements. It was kind of merged with the 4th of July Rodeo. So anytime there's any marketing materials or advertising of special events, we just want to have recognize our logo as part of that social media and or print materials so that we have our name recognition for what we're providing to the services there too.
Anything else for Cole? Okay. Welcome, Ashley.
Good evening. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a recap of our season, just briefly. Overall, it was a very successful year for us. We had a total of 10 competitive events held in 2024, 6 of which were hosted by our club. The remainder were subleased to other organizations, including Mandan Rodeo Days, Chad Burger, and others. Just to highlight a few things, I guess. So we hosted a series of 3 family rodeos. Those are the youth rodeos that Cole just mentioned. We averaged over 80 entries per rodeo. Of those 80 entries, half of the contestants were in the age divisions of 9 and below, which is pretty unique for the state that not a lot of organizations offer that. So it's well attended for people to come to our rodeos. We held 2 barrel racing jackpots, again, brought over 100 entries each time. These jackpots are held throughout the state of North Dakota, very similar ones. And in comparison to other jackpots, Mandan had some of the highest contestant numbers this past year. The high school rodeo was also successful, bringing in over 300 high school contestants from across the state. As far as leases go, the BSC Mystic Stampede College Rodeo had athletes from 13 schools, 5 states, and with that, there were under 300 contestants and over 500 runs. So very big and well put together rodeo that John Peak and his crew put together. I don't have exact statistics for either of the pro rodeos put on by Mandan Rodeo Days or Chad Burger, but from what I've been told, they were well attended by spectators and contestants. And all of the feedback that I received from our leasees was all good. They really enjoyed the facility and are also looking to come back in 2025. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Any questions for Ashley?
Ashley, how many members do you have in your Horse and Saddle Club?
So we do a family membership as well as an individual membership. And I don't know the exact numbers, but they've been pretty consistent over the past 3 to 5 years. I want to say we have maybe 40-some families, and that's obviously a range of the parents and kids. And then we have maybe 10 to 12 individuals that sign themselves up. Yes.
Well, I will say I attended a couple of those events, one professional one and then one of the college, the BSC one. Both were well attended, I thought. Maybe the BSC one could have had a little bit more spectator.
Yes.
And I think over the coming years it'll grow.
I agree. Yep.
When they come back and get a little more familiar with the event itself. But, I do drive by there a lot on the way to the golf course, and some of the high school event was huge. I mean, there was horses everywhere and cars and pickups and trailers everywhere, which is awesome. I love seeing people coming into Mandan. So thank you for your efforts.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think BSC is looking to maybe host sooner. I think the weather had a factor in that as well. So.
Anything else for Ashley? All right, can we entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion for the 2025 through 2027 Dakota Centennial Park Rodeo Arena lease of, I make the motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Mutter.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scott. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right, moving on to item 2.
If we could just pause for a second, President
Oh,
Meskey.
sure.
So just to touch base, in your packet was the racetrack with the Bismarck Mandan Stock Car Association. It's not on the agenda for discussion, but it was part of our agenda doc, just to kind of talk about a little bit what's moving forward. So typically we'd be doing that Bismarck Mandan Stock Car Association agreement. In the past, we've done 5-year agreements with them. Obviously, there was some concerns over the last 5 years about the future and the longevity, what was going to happen with the racetrack. They felt they wanted to have a 5-year commitment at that time. We try to stay to 3-year leases with everybody, just for the fact of board members change, staff changes, and then each board that we have at these organizations seem to have a lot of turnover over the years with volunteers. So we try to stick to 3. So in your packet is a copy of the Bismarck Mandan Stock Car Association as far as our lease. In the past, we've been charging $14,000 annually, and they pay all the utilities and they clean the facility. That was done 5 years ago. Prior to 5 years ago, it used to be $25,000 annual lease. And then at that time, we were cleaning. And then they knew at the end of the 5 years that we'd be trying to get it back up to 25,000. So we pulled it tonight because obviously we were at a little bit of a difference of opinion as far as what that rent should be. In your packet, behind the original racetrack concession agreement, I did a quick summary. I'm still waiting for some organizations who have racetracks around the state to get back to me with their information. But on average, what you're seeing is 25,000 is pretty much the annual lease agreement where all the utilities and all the cleaning are done by the clubs. Then you're seeing where they do a per race event, where it's $1,500 per event or $1,700 per event and up to $2,200 per event, depending on what type of activities and tenants that go to it. So we are going to attend the Bismarck Mandan Stock Car Association board meeting Thursday night. Commissioner Freilich has the portfolio, but Commissioner Mutter had it previously and has had a lot of communication and worked on this agreement that you have in your packet prior to this meeting here today. So we will have two commissioners present. We will have to advertise as a meeting notice, but we would have to make a motion to appoint Commissioner Mutter to that portfolio just for the discussions of the agreement. The reason why we're going to their board meeting is we're kind of going back and forth and really not getting where we need to go. So our recommendation that I'm going to bring forward to them is that we charge a $1,500 per event. Very similar to what the other events have. Some people are at about 16 events. We're at 28 events. When you count not only the Friday night races, but you got the demo derby, the tractor pulls, and miscellaneous other events they put on out there. So they can budget on their end associated with some of the events. Again, they go back, they pay all the utilities. They do not pay us an alcohol percentage fee. They're the only organization that does not. They do not pay us a percentage of the concessions and a surcharge for tickets. In the past, we've had the surcharge for ticketed events, and we've taken a percentage of alcohol. Over the years and different members on the board, that number's had to kind of be a sliding scale. So we're kind of back at a point where do we want to go back to the percentage of alcohol sales and the percentage of concessions like we do for most adult activity events. So what I'm looking for today is just to be able to put Commissioner Mutter as part of that portfolio since he started it, kind of handed the baton off to Commissioner Freilich, and now we get to go have a meeting. So I think it'd be great to have two people at that meeting on Thursday. Hopefully come to a compromise that we can kind of find some middle ground and then come back to you in January. There obviously events don't start until April, May anyways, so we do have plenty of time to renew the contract.
Can you give some history, Colt, why the surcharge and the alcohol percentage was removed from their contract?
So prior boards and actually administration for myself is that we feel from a park district that the community feels comfortable subsidizing youth sports and parks and trails, but adult sports should be able to cash flow themselves and the events and the activities that are put on out there. And so we do have an asset that we insure. There's building repairs that we have in our contract that we're responsible for. And then really the ultimate line would be is we can't just have facilities that we are subsidizing in a way that maybe taxpayers don't want. And we know coming in 2026 or 7, I can't remember when the assessment will come, we have $35,000 worth of assessments coming from Memorial Highway onto Dakota Centennial Park, along with soccer and Prairie West. We can build those costs into our operations for Prairie West. The youth one, I don't feel is something that we should be trying to recuperate some of those expenses back. So that's always been kind of the mindset from previous boards. This board is really the first time in 5 years having to address a contract with the Stock Car Association. So if there are directions that you would like to give us or thoughts that you would have and what your expectations for a motor sport activity is kind of what always is kind of come back to is does that fit the mission in our of the park district? And it's kind of a gray area, but we've been given it and we've been managing it for 25 years. They're a good group to work with. We know that there's concerns on Friday night noise ordinances. They've done a much better job of trying to get done by 11 o'clock. But it really just comes back to an organization and a group that utilizes a facility that puts on a lot of events, and there's some wear and tear that goes with it.
When I think with these user group agreements, everyone has a different, intricacy that, isn't in other agreements. But I know first getting on the board, we were all over the place with some of the, some of those extra charges and things like that. So I guess my understanding, being a Pepsi, district, getting those percentages, alcohol, I thought that was flat across the board. And that's why.
So the exclusive Pepsi beverage contract, we do get our
Okay.
reimbursements back on the case purchase. So anybody that has, in our concessions, has to buy product through our Pepsi, our exclusive contract, we get our commissions back on that. But actual gross sales on the actual concession sale itself, we do not receive anything. And we haven't taken that from a lot of the user groups.
I was gonna say
It's
that-
usually
that's
just
not
been
very
the
common.
adult alcohol activities where we have, obviously, there's golf courses there, we take a percentage. There's the Starting Sports Complex associated with the UMary events.
Right. Okay.
And then you got the rodeo, of course.
Okay. So you just like a motion to,
Just to appoint Commissioner
Assign
Mutter. That way then we
Commissioner
have
Mutter.
two commissioners.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to add Commissioner Mutter to the Bismarck Mandan Stock Car Association portfolio.
a motion by Commissioner Milhoff,
Second?
second by Commissioner Scott. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 2, presentation of the Commission for Accreditation of Parks and Recreational Agencies.
So commissioners, we have looked at this accreditation process for quite a few years. We actually started it in 2021 when COVID hit because we had that kind of unknown what was going to happen in 20 in regards to the future of our nation and our city and the park district. So we thought, well, how can we do some of these activities? And we looked into this accreditation process. At that time, we got into 2021 and just kind of got a little hectic where we weren't really to be able to have the staff or the time to put into this. And since then, now we've fast forward and we've looked at with Tyra Ripple, who's here tonight to talk about this, but she's going to be the lead liaison in regards to the CAPRA accreditation. The accreditation process, again, is a very lengthy process. There's only one park district, which is Bismarck Park District next door to us. That's accredited in the state of North Dakota. About 1% of the park districts across the United States are accredited. It is a difficult process. My goal is not necessarily, obviously, the ultimate goal is to get accredited, but my underlining goal is if we aren't able to get accredited the first time, at least it pulls together all the information that we have. There is a lot of the information we have. It's probably in my area or somebody else's department. It pulls us together, gets us a document all in one location place, gets us to think a little bit different. We are going to have to come back before the board periodically to come and get some of these policies in, or ordinances in place that we may not have, that are their requirements. So I know there are some stipulations and some standards that are required for us to have in place. So with that, I will let Tyra kind of update you.
Welcome, Tyra.
Thank you, President Meshke and Commissioners. I am excited to share about this project, and I'm really excited to be able to take the lead on it. So a little bit about CAPRA. It stands for Commission for Accreditation of Parks and Recreation Agencies, and it's the only national accreditation for park and recreation agencies. It is a valuable measure of the overall quality of operation management and service that we offer to the community. There are many benefits that I have found, a big one being that it creates a self-evaluation or reflection to know how we're doing as a park district. It can help us identify areas of improvement, enhance teamwork, pride in the agency, and it also creates an environment of regular review of operations, policies, and procedures. There are a lot of standards that require us to review things often, and that can help promote a continual improvement of our Parks and Recreation Agency. Overall, I've just learned a lot about it and found that it's the best way to demonstrate that we provide the community with the highest level of service that we can. A little bit about the standards. There is a copy of the standards and a little bit of descriptions with them in your board packet. There are 154 total standards over 10 sections. There are 36 that are fundamental standards, and those are required standards. So you'll find those ones in blue in your packet. There are 118 non-fundamental standards, and we have to comply with 90% of those. So there is a little bit of room where if we don't meet some of the standards at accreditation, that will be okay. For every standard, we need to provide both proof that the standard is being met, whether that's through documentation, photos, just some way to show that we are meeting that standard. And then we are also required to submit a written self-assessment explaining how that documentation applies to the standard. Overall, this is going to be a collaborative effort. So my role is more so delegating things out, creating timelines, ensuring that everything's done in a timely manner. but the managers are going to take a huge role in it, supervisors, and everyone as a team is going to have some part in this accreditation. This total process should take just under 2 years. A lot of it we already have completed. Some of it we've started and maybe don't have documentation for. And then others is going to take some time to develop. Everything needs to be completed, our self-assessment and documentation, by January of 2026. At that point, they will review everything, our CAPRA review team. And then once they've taken time to review, they will schedule an on-site visit where they tour our facilities, talk to a lot of the managers, myself, and just see how we implement those standards and that we can prove that we meet everything that we say we do. At that point, they will schedule a virtual or in-person hearing at the 2026 NRPA National Conference to determine our accreditation status. Again, this is going to be a working document from start to finish. After, if we were to receive accreditation, it'll still involve annual updates, reaccreditation every 5 years, and it's something that's continuous to ensure that we are meeting the standards that we need to. Any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Tyra, so it's a 2-year process to get accredited for 5 years. So the reaccreditation, accreditation, you say that word a lot, don't you?
Reaccreditation.
That's is that another 2-year process, or how does that work after your 5 years is up to?
So once you're accredited, ultimately it's a continuous effort. So it's not something that's going to take another 2 years. You stay accredited the whole time. There is a deadline to complete reaccreditation. It requires you to meet a few more of the non-fundamental standards and show that everything that you've submitted is being updated as well. But it doesn't take 2 years.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
So besides just the obvious of we're accredited, that shows that we have high standards and all this, is there, I see some risk management things. Is there insurance cost savings to some of these things? Do we get, what are the pros and what are the cons are probably time, but the pros a better product, better. When we look at this all together, and I know it's not a lot of money, but just what big advantages do we have to do this?
Well, as far as insurance, I'm not sure on that. Okay. But overall, I think they pointed out a lot of positives of it, and I really just see it gets everything in one place. It helps keep us. Sorry.
And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I
no,
really
it's
meant
okay.
to put Cole on the spot.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I really to have a functioning organization, these things, looking at all those, absolutely. And to say that, are we missing anything, or there's nothing wrong by that. We can do that, and I think it'll make our park district even better. But I just wondered if there was some other things that were involved.
President Metzger and Commissioners, like I said in the beginning, I don't see the negative to this if we weren't accredited is that we spent a lot of time researching how we operate internally, and there's a lot of things that I think each department or each manager does that maybe isn't written down. So it does help us with a succession plan so that as if we have turnover or retirements, we have a document that kind of shows how we do the things, whether it's purchasing, whether it's evaluations. We talked about some of the stuff with evaluating or interviewing employees, how that documentation is. We do a lot of these things. It's just not written down.
Right.
And so does it measure how successful the Mandan Park District is with or without this accreditation? I don't think it does. But I think it gives us an opportunity to maybe get it to that higher level of standard. And also, I think it shows how good of Park District we are that we have some of these things in place. Gets us to think a little bit differently and challenge us in ways that we probably never thought of before.
Yeah, and looking at those standards, I think we're going to easily be able to find things that support those. There'll be a few there just because I think we already have some of those things in place, but some of those gaps maybe we didn't think of, so good. Anything else, Tyra? Okay, well, thank you. Let us know how we can be of help.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, moving on to item number 3. Consider transferring 2025 capital improvement dollars to 2024 budget for admin vehicles and amending the 2025 budget for a loader. A loader.
A loader.
Mr. Fleck. All right.
Good evening, Commissioners. Come before you tonight to discuss the purchase of a loader for district-wide snow removal service and also dirt work. We're looking at replacing our 1979 Caterpillar loader. When this process started for budgeting a loader back in 21-22, we knew we needed something different. The winter of 22 really showed us that we needed something different. The amount of parking lots we've added, properties, the loader that we have right now worked, but we could do better. So we looked at budgeting back in 22 for 25 for a new loader. Back then, $140,000 would have gotten us there. Either a late model used loader or a new loader. Back in June, July, when I went and started looking for loaders, there was nothing out there for used. And if you were going to buy used, late model used, you were in that new price. So we decided to go and submit an RFP to different vendors in Bismarck, Mandan. They came back with pricing, and for the loader alone, we would have been right in that $140,000 price range. But with the addition of a 4-in-1 snow blade and pallet forks for that loader, we're needing additional funds of right around $170,000. And that also included upgraded tires under advisement from the city. They run this polar mold tire that they don't have to run chains on, which tear up parking lots, trails, and stuff like that if we're on there. So in total, it's right around just shy of $170,000. The vendor that did get the RFP is a Mandan implement dealer, West River Implement out of Mandan. It'll be a Hyundai loader. Park District staff went and demonstrated the loader. Looks like it's going to work for our needs for now and into the future. This should be a long-term purchase that we have within the Park District, and it'll help, like I said, district-wide. The blade that we're looking at expands from 10 feet to 16 feet, and then also, like I said, bucket and a set of pallet forks with it. So I'm looking for an additional $30,000 so we can make this purchase in 2025.
And President Meskey and Commissioner, just to add, we do not outsource our snow removal. So like a lot of school districts and other organizations have contractors on call. So you start thinking those $5,000, $10,000 every time there's snowstorms, this will pay for itself for sure and return investment less than 10 years if the weather's like we've had the last few years. Obviously, the big snowstorms that we've had over the years, they're coming multiple times. And so we have events that are open at 6 a.m. We have to have these things facility at the All Saints Arena, Starion Sports Complex, the tennis center. And so we can't get to all these facilities with just one loader and a truck and a blade. So this just allows our efficiencies to kind of increase too.
So Dustin, I see trade on the RFP results. So trade-in optional.
What I've priced for you would be trade-in of this loader. Like I said, we could keep the loader, but with this new loader, it's going to do twice of what we're doing right now. And we've only got so many operators. We're still running 2 pickup plows, our tool cats, our skid steer, our payloaders. So we've only got so many operators to operate. I don't think it pays.
And I was looking more at the cost. Would it be? I mean, to have a secondary. I mean, what you're going to get for that, and I don't know how much money you're putting into these things either. So, when you're talking $10,000.
They're giving us $10,000 for this loader. It's as old as I am almost, so it's got some age on it.
What are you
if we lose an engine or something, we're going to be well over $10,000. I don't see us using it a whole lot.
Okay, and I guess that's the reason I asked, because I know as our facilities increase, and like Cole said, we do all of our own snow removal.
It served the city well, and it served us well for the last 10 or 15 years, but it's time to set it down the road.
Okay, thought I'd ask.
Dustin, how long do you expect this one to last?
It should last 30 years, I would say, 25, 30 years. We don't put a lot of hours on, but when we do, it's hard hours. It's pushing snow. It's a workhorse.
Does it fit in our shop?
It does fit in the shop.
Even the expanded one?
Even the expanded one.
Had a little accident. So okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Dustin? Board's wishes.
I'll make a motion to approve amending the 2025 budget to allocate an additional $30,000 from the general fund to purchase a new wheel loader and attachments as presented from West River Equipment.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Milhoff.
Second.
second by Commissioner Freilich. Any further discussion? Okay, Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Melhoff,
Aye.
Mr. Freilich,
Aye.
Commissioner Mutter.
Aye.
Aye for me as well. Motion carries. Thanks, Dustin.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item 3B, admin vehicle.
So President Meskin, Commissioners, as I stated previously in emails and updates and then in your board document, obviously we had $30,000 awarded for a new vehicle for myself. Starting January 25, I went through the North Dakota State procurement, purchased it thinking that we had to have that 6 to 8 months to get the color that we have in our vehicles delivered on time, and it showed up in November on a trailer that was delivered to Burleigh County Sheriff Department. They were delivering cars, so the transportation was already there. So from a budgetary standpoint and from an audit standpoint, Accounting Manager Welch recommended that we have it amended for the 24 budget since I've already received it and the Park District has taken ownership of it. So it's licensed. It's registered in the Park District names. After tonight's board meeting, they'll get a check mailed to them. So it's appreciative that Nelson Motors is who was awarded the contract, but it's more of a budgetary as far as accounting audit responsibility here tonight.
Can we entertain a motion?
I would move to approve the transferring of $30,000 from the 2025 Capital Improvement Fund to the 2024 budget for the purchase of the administration vehicle.
Motion by Commissioner Scott,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Melhoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Freilich,
Aye.
Commissioner Mutter.
Aye.
Aye for me as well. Motion carries.
You can get some graphics on that thing?
I will, yeah, Wednesday morning.
Okay, we'll move along to some construction updates on item number 4. Cole, go ahead.
Okay, so boat ramp, President Meskin, Commissioners, is 100% complete as far as the actual construction and the base bid that we had out there. Prairie View Excavating did a nice job. Edling Electric's finishing off some of the poles here this week. Weather's allowed us to get completed. Yeah, it's been a great project. Too bad we couldn't open it up for the river. There's been some people driving in there already. Unfortunately, drove around some of our posts. We got some rock that are coming in to block off portions of the entrance. We couldn't put barrier posts in there due to the fact that we're too close to the MDU gas line, or electrical line, excuse me. So we're just going to place 2 large rocks from a decorative standpoint to place that so cars can't drive around the gate. So it's gone very well. No vandalism happened, but overall the project itself came in where we needed to be in budget. And as I mentioned last month, and just a quick update, the vault toilet has been ordered. Tim Nielsen from Morton County Parks took on that responsibility, research at local company in South Dakota. Again, we'll have a vault toilet there on site. The bridge that I mentioned is now 80 feet long. That's going to be constructed here locally at True North. We did get bids from other firms. A lot of them are from out of state and transportation and things like that. That's where the numbers came through on that. We're looking at, hopefully, after the first of the year, some type of installation when they get completed. Obviously, we don't want, when the spring thaw starts to happen, we want to get in there with the crane while the ground's still frozen if possible. They are going to do the abutments. They're going to heat the ground. They will put them in, hopefully, in January as time allows to get those in, and then we should be pretty simple for as far as the bridge to take place. As I mentioned, the 2 benches are already here. ADA picnic table should be here shortly. And then the boat dock, as we mentioned, we applied through Game and Fish for an 80-20 local match. They review those in February. The sign is installed. The car body sign is installed. It's in the wrong location, needs to be turned a little bit, but we'll get that done in the spring as they were cemented in. But overall, the boat ramp should be ready to go. We will work on a ribbon cutting sometime after the spring, weather allows, and recognize all those individual groups that came with us. So any questions on the boat ramp? Okay, youth baseball complex. Weather kind of slowed us down, but now we got a little warm stretch coming back. I was told that there was some representatives for the turf that were here this weekend and on Friday. It is not completed Diamond 9. Diamond 10, I would say, is complete other than the dugouts. Diamond 9, as we mentioned, has got a little bit of work that needs to get done. We've been working with the contractor, Northwest Contracting, trying to make sure that we held back enough funds to make sure that if weather allows, they can get out here and get that turf. It's laid out to cover and protect the stone, but it's not cut and glued yet. It's secured just temporarily for any high winds. Obviously, with snow on it, helps to keep that turf down. If the weather allows, we want them to come back. I don't remember the exact temp. What's the lowest temp they can get to with the glue? Is it 38? 20? Yeah, so we do have a specialized glue that they can do the seams if it were to come back and cooperate. We're hoping as, again, they're here before March 31st. We do have penalties in place as we speak, being counted for the month of December, and then they take a break in January and February, and they kick back in March. We've had internal discussions with them. We haven't got the signed agreement that if they get here and get it done by the end of March, we would probably waive those fees as an incentive to get the contractor from out of state to come back here. Then April 1st, weather permitting, we can get back in here, but if they aren't completed by May 1st, that's $1,000 a day penalties to get that field completed. So a lot of work's got to get done on that field, but again, I'm not too concerned in regards to the scheduling on the playability of the fields, because we still do have Memorial Ballpark and Diamond 10. We got to do some creative scheduling. They may have to play earlier, may have to play different times of the day, but we can work it out. So, any questions on the youth baseball? Or anything else you want to add, Dave? Mandan Municipal Levy. So in your packets, I'm not sure how you want me to go. I probably should have asked beforehand, but in your packet are 3 different options of conceptual designs. Commissioner Scott, myself, and Garrett met with Lower Heart Water Resource, kind of a subcommittee last Friday. Had some really good discussions in regards to what are the next options. And what came out of that, obviously we showed the 3 options of potential renovating the golf course if we were going to do a seepage berm. We know the seepage berm is right around $3.5 to $4 million for discussion. Could we take 90,000 cubic yards and repurpose that to hole number 4 and then kind of create some ponds? The answer is yes. But with all the discussion that we've kind of shared, that toe trench seems to be the leading direction from Lower Heart and wanting to proceed forward with that. From that process, it's very minimal impact to the golf course. They are going to need a 15-foot easement, permanent easement, and they would like a 35-foot construction easement to be able to access that. Really, we should be able to keep the golf course open at all times. There may have to be some temporary tees on hole number 4 or a temporary green at times just to kind of accommodate where they're working at as construction for safety. We did put some stipulations that they could work Monday through Thursday, 12-hour days, Fridays be done by noon, and Saturdays and Sundays no construction. That at least allows us to have the flexibility for Friday afternoon tournaments and weekend play. Kind of should meet the needs of everybody. The construction timeline that we still got to work out, though, would be Lower Heart has to take a motion yet to move forward with a toe trench. They have not done that. They meet next week, Tuesday. I'll attend that meeting and update the board as far as how that would go. They then would come back to us in January and or February. They'd be looking at a motion to support Lower Heart to construct the toe trench, with the contingency that we have a MOU, memorandum of understanding, of all the details in regards to what I've mentioned here before. By giving them the easement, the question would be, do we want to charge? Obviously, there's going to have to be some parameters put in place that protects not only the park district from any future damages associated with this construction, and then or the reconstruction of potential hole number 4 green. So in your packet, and I can show you briefly here.
So Cole, while you're getting that up, it talks about there has to be a fence there. That's part of, is that part of the?
Yes, so part of the fencing that they would like is they would like to be able to prevent any type of golf carts or people or pedestrians kind of accessing the drainage. So if you kind of can envision here, I'll try to blow it up here a little bit. So as you see the blue dots are what I would refer to as the drainage area where the water's going to drain, and then you got the red shaded areas in between each blue square. That's really a grass stones type area that they would go. The fence would be on the right hand side of those blue squares. We asked for like a split rail maintenance free fence to run parallel to that trench and that easement. That way then in the future they would have to drive a vacuum truck periodically on there for the manholes, which are referenced in that green dot. So we want to make sure that they're not driving a vacuum truck on the golf course. So we want to put that fence up, one, to prevent people going in there. They'll still have the ability to have walk areas to go get their golf ball if they were to hit it over there. But we wanted to make sure that vacuum truck or whatever type of piece of equipment they would need to go on that trench, or that easement, that they're not getting too far off the easement and going onto our property. That was really the sole purpose of that. We talked about in the meeting even using the grid parking system that we have at the boat ramp. Could we lay that down on there to prevent any type of, movement or settling? And that discussion might be further reviewed as far as from HDR, their engineer. So overall, I think the tow trench, after all the 7 months of discussions and where we're going with flood protection, I think this is the best solution for everybody. The community has less special assessments. Park District has less impact to our golf course. We will be open in 25 and we will be open in 26, but we may have one hole that'll be impacted. So I think it's a win for everybody. And Commissioner Scott, you were at the meeting. Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think it's a good sign on our part being fiscally responsible. The numbers come in substantially lower than what we would be paying for the other options. And I guess the fence, it's kind of an odd thing to have it on a golf course, but if we make it like Cole mentioned, the split fence, they did agree that we could put gates every so often so that people could get in there. Walking in there is one thing, driving over those valves and stuff is a different thing. So I think it's a great option and much more fiscally responsible.
Yeah, the pictures we saw was a big, nice chain link fence that went down there. If we can do something different than that, I think that would be.
And
you
that's part of our
You talk about
MOU.
rocks, using rocks out at the boat. Maybe there's some rocks, and some natural type thing. I suppose you can't plant trees there, obviously, but if there's some other things we can do so it doesn't look like it's sticking out, I think.
So we have Garrett and I have a working document through our OneNote that's adding all of our memorandum of understanding, just things that we think of last minute or weekly or daily, just add to it. We'll pull that together. We'll work with our attorney Ruff, pull that together as far as our expectations, because we don't want to give a permanent easement up if we're going to give it for free, which I recommend that we do, in exchange that all the costs and expenses associated with that are covered through the Lower Hearts, construction project, that we build that into the MOU. So that way then we're made whole. And then there are going to be some impacts to the park on the south end. We're just not sure if it's going to be the road and or where the turnaround is on that far west end of when you go into Legion Park. The vault area, where exactly that's going to be located at, where they're going to pump out of. That's to be determined, exact location. Where it shows on a map, kind of a GPS kind of moves it a little bit. We're hoping we can maybe move it to the north a little bit and not impact the road. But that's to be determined.
So that area with that stone that goes up and down the dike system, that could be affected. Maybe you've never been up there.
Trying to make sure I understand correctly.
It's over where the kayakers will put their
Correct.
boats or pull them out. That may be affected. Is that?
Yeah, if I put it back on the map here.
Okay.
So the red dot that I'm referencing, or the pink dot on your screen,
Yep.
that's kind of where the vault would be at, where, again, everything from the tow trench drains to that vault, and then that's where you'd have the pump to push it out and push it back over the levee. So it would impact slightly to the north of that walkway. They are, as we understood, and it was news to me, I thought that this was the remedy or the mitigation for the core accreditation process, but they still got to add the 6 inches and or up to a foot to the top of the levee in addition to this. I thought this was just one option. No, it's both. I wasn't understanding that correctly throughout all the meetings, so they will be doing both.
Right, but it cuts back on the cubic feet of materials needed to add to the top.
And I didn't know if you wanted me to show the potential conceptual drawings in your package, just because that's not a direction we're going to go, but I'm just curious if there's any thoughts you had in there. There's some neat ideas, but dollars and cents obviously drive things, but with Lower Hart not wanting to move forward with the seepage berm, it pretty much makes a nice document for us to look at in the future if we ever wanted to do something.
These are the drawings we got from the company we.
Correct. These are the conceptual.
These here. Those,
Yep.
okay.
Do we
One
know-
looked at potentially taking all of the park, moving it over to holes 1 and 2, and then flipping holes in 1 and 2 over to the park. And it made sense to do that if money wasn't an option, but would definitely drive the cost of the project completely up. But with Lower Hart not wanting to do the seepage berm, that leaves the park district on the hook for about $4 to $7 million to do that. So feasibility wise, I think if we had $7 million, we have other things in our district that we could utilize it for better of it. But if money wasn't an option, I think it's a cool drawing and great opportunity for us. But okay, any questions on it?
The only other thing I would mention is Cole did bring up the the rentals, the importance of being able to use the shelters and stuff like that as much as possible to try to limit the effects on those rentals, because we do have, they're rented all the time. So we want to make sure that that is still available to the public and that the revenue still comes through too.
And that kind of goes back why I didn't want construction happening after noon on Fridays and then every Saturday and Sunday, because that's rented and the golf course is being used. So we wanted to kind of make sure that those weren't being impacted. Because the last thing we need is construction equipment running across there with kids going back and forth to those playground equipment and miscellaneous activities. So, okay, any other questions you have for me on the levy?
Since we're not doing that, can we get a stop and go light by the where the road crosses between 1 and 2 and Legion
Well,
Park?
that's that is a federal or a state mandated highway, so there is the light there, obviously, to push button activate for slow down in traffic. But as far as a stop and go, I don't see that happening from DOT, unfortunately. Someone asked me the other day if we've ever had an accident there. Not in my tenure, but I'm sure there's been some close calls. But yeah, it is definitely a safety issue that we need to consider to keep aware of.
Thank you.
Okay, Ferris Field. The only thing is, the project's been completed. The only thing here tonight before you would be is a motion to transfer the excess funds of $5,004.51 back to the general fund. Those are dollars that we just have set aside. That was part of the original motion for the project. There are another $2,500 that we will remain in the Ferris Field Fund for 25 that we got a change order today on. That will be utilized for anything that Dustin or Dave or even the girls fast pitch would like to utilize in 25. As we know, there's always going to be seating areas and some irrigation expansions or miscellaneous things are going to happen down there. So we're looking for a motion to transfer the $5,004.51 back to the general fund.
I'll make the motion to approve transferring the $5,004.51 excess funds from Ferris Field Construction Fund to the general fund.
Motion by Commissioner Freilich,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Prairie West Maintenance Building.
So the Prairie West Maintenance Building has been a little bit of a obstacle course, to say the least, in regards to all of that land down there is in the floodplain. And so we've been struggling to find a location, obviously utility access, and then discussing the comparison of engineered fill to bring it up out of the floodplain, compare the cost of moving utilities versus a drain field. So long story short, we basically have eliminated the south site. There's so many moving parts associated with that, proximity to the levee. So we now are concentrating all the way up the north on the existing shop. We had a 2:00 Teams call today that Garrett participated in. We are probably looking at expanding to the east of his existing shop. The reason why we're looking at to the east is if we go to the north of his existing shop, it's about a 5-foot drop in elevation if you ever get a chance to go out there. So now we have to bring a building up 5 feet, even though we're close to utilities, where down south we didn't have access to any utilities, so we had to bring them in a long ways, add a drain field, and only bring it up 2 feet. So due to the fact that we have this land in the floodplain, there's just a lot of moving parts trying to make this work. Then we're trying to connect it and expand an existing building with the roof lines and trying to match the snow loads. So we have that concern, and or do we just make it a separate building that's not connected to the existing building, renovate the existing building, meet the updates that we need to do in that building to meet what Garrett needs for storage, and then add a separate building to the east. That's kind of what came out of today. In your packet is that second drawing, which I'll put up here. This isn't the final drawing that we are going to work with, but at least for the context for tonight, the breezeway, what you call separating the two buildings, is a corridor in there. That probably won't be put there. We'd rather have the wind just blow through with the sand or the snow, excuse me. But the building itself is very similar. What we're looking at is trying to expand to the east. We may pull it closer to the building, but we want to get to where we have 14-foot sidewalls. These buildings that we were talking didn't have that. We want to make sure that if we ever wanted to put a vehicle on a lift, we have ability to stand, at least a 6-foot person stand, and be able to work, not have to be on his knees or on his back. So a lot of those things we're kind of taking into consideration today, but we will hopefully come back in January with a final site plan But I think we've finally got some headway after this discussion. Any questions for me in regards to update on the park operations building?
Yeah, I have a question. So that version you sent up there, that wouldn't affect the chip and putt?
No. So the original option that we talked about was, do we move a building completely separate and put it over on the chipping green? So we looked at all those different scenarios. We're also looking at even moving the cart storage area to the north side of this building. But again, goes back to a 5-foot drop. We'd have to have a retaining wall. Now we're bringing engineered fill in to store the carts. So we're going to keep the carts where they're at, tear it all down, put a nice covered shelter that's, I would use the word decorative, so it's not such an eyesore, and then a concrete on the bottom so that we can pull the carts in there. Today they sit on kind of like a recycled asphalt, a lot of get dusty, so we want to be able to have a concrete pad, have some air hose there with conduit running from the building, maybe some water to wash the carts there. So everything's kind of just handled there and then can be accessed out. But as far as going back to that chipping green, no, we will not lose the chipping green.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for maintenance building? Questions? Okay, we'll move on to item number 5. Consider for approval the 2025 Park Board meeting dates.
President Meskey and Commissioners, we do this every year. It's required by Century Code just to present the Park Board meetings for 2025. They're in front of you. Any questions you may have?
Can we go get a motion to approve? Are they all second Tuesday? Or second Monday, sorry. Second. It's a different meeting I have. Second Monday. They're all second Mondays? Okay.
I would move to approve the 2025 meeting dates for Mandan Park District.
Motion by Commissioner Scott,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Okay, item number 6, approval of monthly bills.
I'll make a motion to approve monthly bills.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Freilich,
Second?
second by Commissioner Scott. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Item number 7, Commissioner staff reports. Anything else, Cole?
Yep. So President Meskey, Commissioners, just an update on the Summer MAC program. So we have 2 sites that we're going to next summer. Registration is opened up as we speak. The 2 sites that we're going to have for this summer is going to be Lakewood Elementary and Fort Lincoln Elementary. Typically, we try to have one north of town at Lewis and Clark, where we've been for many years. They have some construction that they're doing up there in that facility, so we work with the Mandan Public Schools, try to get access to where we can. Unfortunately, they're both on the south side. So in case you do hear anything, our hands are a little bit tied as far as where we can get access to elementary schools, but due to the construction of some renovations at Lewis and Clark, we're going to be at Lakewood and Fort Lincoln. Majority of the kids are in the Fort Lincoln area that utilize our program. We're hoping that people live in North Mandan or downtown Mandan can kind of take the strip. I know there'll be construction at times, but at least they can get to Lakewood through Expressway and at least get back to work in a timely manner that maybe work over in Bismarck. We are going to try to accommodate where they live in town and try to make sure that we are given the best direction. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case you do hear some complaints. We've gotten one this morning that they weren't able to participate because they didn't want to have their kids way down south when they work in North Mandan, which I get. It's understandable. But our goal is to get 300 kids. It's great that we do that. We do have our meeting on January 9th. I know it's on the agenda, but this will be one of the topics of our discussion is with the schools pushing their start time back this year made it difficult. It was 3 weeks we weren't able to have after school care program. Now with the new year or next year school year, we want to kind of minimize that, but we can't do it unless we have the space. And we put 300 kids this summer will go into the All Seasons Arena for a week. It's a lot of kids in one spot. It makes it difficult, but we don't want to shut the program down 2 to 3 weeks earlier. Puts kind of a burden back on the parents where we can at least cover 1 week. So we're going to try to fight through it this year. It's not going to be ideal that first week in August or second week in August, but we'll do the best that we can. But moving forward, we want to try to find a solution as far as what we could do. And I've even explored looking around town if we could find some type of building or church or lease space, just anything in the community that we think could accommodate. But again, when you have a summer MAC program, there's requirements as far as what we need to provide. Just wanted to update you on that.
Cole, is it the long-term goal to get back into Lewis and Clark when the renovations are done?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just a one summer thing and then we're back in the following year. Yeah.
Okay, Dustin.
little bit of a roller coaster weather, but we are on track to have outdoor ice by the 20th of December. So we'll have that ready for Christmas break, for the skating and stuff like that. Had a couple of meetings and get-togethers, gatherings at our new shop. It's working out great. It's a great facility. Commissioner Freilich has been down there for a meeting, so it's working out great. We're still working on getting things put away and settled, but it's a great facility, and thank you, commissioners.
Just busy at the rinks, and all Seasons Arena's slam packed too, so just staying busy, and everyone's utilizing the facilities, so everything's going well.
Attorney Ruff. Commissioner Mutter.
Kelly told me that they already have 400 people that have the telephone app already. So if anybody who hasn't had the app on yet, please put it on your phone and use it, because you can also probably register your summer Mac, which started today too. So we can talk about summer since winter's here.
Commissioner Freilich.
I've got nothing.
Commissioner Melhoff.
Yeah, I guess I'll announce that we have a beginner's Frisbee disc golf course at Nicola's Park on 14th Street. Thanks to Dustin and his crew. They took out the old RC track there, and we had 7 baskets left over from a Sunset Park remodel. And Cody and Andy put our 7 baskets in, and Rock 30 Games donated 2 baskets. Kelly updated the website, so we'll have some blasts in the spring to let the general public know about it, but some of the disc golf community already knows about it. They're excited about it. It hasn't really been a beginner option in town. Everything's pretty difficult, so it's been a little bit of a barrier to entry to play disc golf, so we're happy to offer that moving forward. So,
Commissioner Scott.
Nothing for me.
Okay, just one thing for me. So Director Higlin's evaluation is due here at the end of the month and into the new year. You'll be getting an email from me based upon performance, based upon what you've seen in the past. I'll send out last year's performance evaluation, and then we will meet here right before New Year's and go through that. So be looking for that in your email, and just reply to me, please, so I can compile those things. So, okay. With that, future meeting dates for Mandan Park Board Commissioners. On January 9th, there will be a MPS-MPD Joint Powers Agreement. Their annual meeting will be held at Raging Rivers at noon, and then our next regular Park Board meeting will be on January 13th, right here at City Hall at 5:30. We go to motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion adjourn.
second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Mutter, second by Commissioner Melhoff. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.